following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Welcome, one and all, to the iRacing Esports Network for the second round of the Geodesic Racing Sprint Series Australasia Championship. This is round 2 at Montreal, and with you tonight is the crew at V8's Online. My name is Reese Gardner. Joining me in the commentary box is Brock Cat-Eye. Brock, it is time for round 2 of a series that had a bit of a controversial round 1, but we're at Montreal this week.
Yeah, Montreal's a really interesting track and usually brings up some great racing, as we've seen in real life through the multiple categories that go there throughout the year. But it's interesting because it's a street circuit, but you still have some runoff and some areas to make mistakes and that sort of thing. So it's almost what you could call a hybrid circuit. So I'm really excited to see how these guys go here. We have seen great racing in previous seasons, and like you said, last race was a bit controversial and we had a few incidents and that sort of thing, but hopefully that's all put behind us and we can move on and have a really great series from here on out with 9 rounds left to go.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be following the single race format here tonight at Montreal. And yeah, as you said, it's really an interesting track. I think it's probably the closest we've got on iRacing to our very own Albert Park circuit. It's very fast. It's based on roads that are accessible to the public, be it walking, bicycles, what have you. It's around something that's man-made. In Albert Park's case, it's a lake. In the case of Montreal, the entire island that the track is on was man-made for Expo 67, I believe, big worldwide exhibition. Like what? 51 years ago. The 60s were a long time ago. But it's got those quick corners, close walls, big curbs, and a ton of chicanes, but it maintains this really nice flow.
Yeah, it is a great little track, and like you said, while it has got the walls around and it is a street circuit where sometimes you have some really tight corners that shake things up a bit, like at Gold Coast, for example, or Newcastle's V8 supercar circuits. This one here, it has that European feel of a Formula One circuit that we see in so many of the circuits over in Europe, that they just flow through the corners and they can really take some of these corners fast, particularly with the downforce that these GT cars have. So don't be surprised if we see a lot of guys really pushing these cars to their limits because they have that extra downforce there should they choose to use it, as well as the fact that tyres and that sort of thing in a 45-minute race, they don't really go off either. So these guys are really going to be playing for keeps tonight.
Yeah, they certainly are. But a couple of guys from round 1 that aren't making an appearance tonight are Dylan Shepherd and Clint Smith. Clint Smith has elected to sit this round out, and Dylan Shepherd, there was a bit of controversy afterwards, after race 1. Of course, the driving standards did leave something to be desired all throughout the field from the administrator's perspective, and GT Leagues Australia administration has cracked down pretty hard on the driving standards, giving drivers penalties all throughout the field. But Dylan Shepherd, who won round 1, was actually demoted all the way back to 25th place for making contact with another car under an earlier caution. So that has to be a real kick in the guts if you're in Dylan Shepard's position. And unfortunately, he is not making an appearance at this round, but John Peasnick, who finished on the podium in round one, is looking pretty good for this one, isn't he?
Yeah, well, in qualifying, he's got 3/10 on the rest of the field, and I just got to say, this guy has some sort of weird attraction to cars in iRacing that no one else wants to drive. He was in the Ford GT last season and made that work beautifully, got a few podiums. Now he's in the McLaren, which is a car that takes a very particular driving style, and it's quite difficult to get your head around, and he's driving it, he's put it on pole by 3/10. This guy is unstoppable when you put him in machinery that no one else wants to drive, so I'm really interested to see how he goes tonight.
Yeah, certainly. The McLaren, one of the more difficult cars to drive. Actually, the first ever GT3 car to be brought to the iRacing service all the way back in, goodness me, I think it was about 2013 or something like that. So this car has quite a bit of history behind it. As new GT3 cars have come out, it's been somewhat superseded in terms of driver preference. Some drivers finding that they prefer the way the other cars drive a lot better. And the McLaren's behavior becoming very, very nervous. But John Peasnick seems to like cars like that, and he's really making that car work for him. He's currently sitting in 9th in this warm-up session, but come the race, you'll see him start from the first position on the grid. Looking further afield, the person who's just gone quickest in this warm-up session, Bo Albert, in that Altus Esports Audi. They got a bit of a redemption drive to do Altus Esports. They showed a lot of promise at round one. Unfortunately, were involved in incidents that took them out of the running. So it's definitely batten down the hatches and see what they can do from here on.
Yeah, Altus Esports have a really strong lineup, and you got Bo Albert racing here tonight, top of the charts at the moment, and I think he's starting from 6th or 7th for the race. So he's in an Audi, which is a pretty strong car. Does have those weight restrictions on it though as well because of how strong it is. But I reckon he'll be able to make it work. Bo's a really consistent driver and a really fast driver, and also one of our commentators here at V8's Online. So I'm sure a few of us will be gunning for him, but he's really committed and really wants to make it work, particularly with this new team that's behind him.
Yeah, certainly. Another driver that we will have to look out for is Reese Gasul, who is the teammate of John Peasnick, but racing in a different car. He's in a Mercedes and has been from the moment he started in this series, and he's shown himself to be a fantastic competitor. Doesn't quite have those fantastic results in the series that, for example, the guys from Trick Sim Sports have. People like Ross Rizzo, Martin Silvassi, and Anthony Winkleman. But Reese has been around, certainly, and he has a lot of potential.
Oh, for sure. We saw last season he had some great races, and I think he even got pole once or twice, and he was really pushing it. He's just had some bad luck. A couple of mistakes brought him undone, but now he's starting to turn that back around, and hopefully we'll see some good form from him this season, getting used to that Mercedes a bit more, but also getting used to the format, the cars, the tracks, everything else. And right now he's in 3rd in the standings in the practice session, about a couple of tenths off our lead guy, Bo Albert. So he's looking pretty strong tonight, and it is a 45-minute race, although it's a sprint. Just to remind viewers, it does have a pit stop as well. So that is going to be important in how this plays out and how much fuel gets put on board, and the strategy in general we've seen really takes a key point in these races.
Yeah, it certainly does. We've had an entire season worth of 45-minute races to work off, so we can expect some great racing tonight. But the grid is now on screen for this round 2 of the Geodesic Racing Sprint Series Australasia. John Peasnick on pole with Luis Paulo Gallon in 2nd. TTL Esports' Nick Cummings is starting from 3rd. Our reigning champion, Ross Rizzo, in 4th. Dane Warren, the leading BMW, in 5th place. Reese Gasul in 6th. Bo Albert starts in 7th place. Wayne Burke for Synergy Sim Racing in 8th. 9th is Fusion Sim Racing's Trent Thomas. And Altus Esports' Zachary Hanlon rounding out the top 10.
And in 11th place, we have Adam Highland. 12th is Adam Briggs. 13th, Jordan McDonnell. 14th, Philip Worley. 15th, Dylan Shepherd. He did end up making it. 16th, Mitchell McLeod. 17th, Hayden Dodman. 18th, Dean O'Brien. 19th, Jamie McKnight. And running out the top 20 tonight, Matt Morris.
Alex Johns starting in 21st position, with Joshua Skin in 22nd. Martin Silvassi starting quite a ways down the field, it has to be said, in 23rd position. Scott Kozlowski for All-Star Motorsports in 24th, with David Jellings in 25th. Troy Maguire starts in 26th, Dan King 27th, and the field is rounded out by Gene Fiddies and Reese Keane. 29 cars taking to the start tonight in Split 1 here at Montreal, and you can already see that Piesnik and Gallon are really slowing up, allowing the pace car to get on ahead of them. So they will make their way through this final chicane past the fabled Wall of Champions. Got to be careful of these big curves. And now the start is under Piesnik's control. He is already away. Looks like he's taken them by surprise there as Gallon slots in ahead of Cummings, and the field is going to start fanning out behind them. Gasul and Warren already starting to battle here, but Piesnik leading the way into turn 1.
Yeah, that was a good start by Piesnik there. He did it absolutely perfectly, caught his competitors off guard, and he was through. Just looking back in the field here, we've got Trent Thomas and Zach Hanlon battling it out as they come down into turn 4 here. That has been sorted out as we go back through the pack a little bit further. Most of the battles are getting sorted out here. Philip Worley, that was close as they came through that chicane there, but no contact so far. Fairly clean start for the time being, Reese.
Yeah, certainly. We've got OPR versus OPR. Dylan Shepherd making his way past Jordan McDonnell there, and McDonnell is currently facing a double-pronged attack from the Torque Inc. Audis. That is to be a stressful situation to be in for sure, as Hayden Dobbin and Mitch McLeod go at it. Meanwhile, just behind them, that's Matt Morris going for the move on Dean O'Brien. Looks like most of the field is starting to sort themselves out here, but Ross Rizzo under attack there by Nick Cummings. And looks like he's going to have to swap back in behind once again. Rizzo in 4th, and the field going single file as they make their way onto the back stretch. Still seeing a little bit of jostling back in the pack. Dean O'Brien and Jamie McKnight. McKnight new to Evolution Racing Team, making his first GT3 start for the team. Noticing a couple of drivers trying to make moves here on lap 1 coming into the chicane. It's a popular passing spot. Troy Maguire very late on the brakes as he makes his way past Scott Kozlowski. Very courageous pass on the outside, it has to be said. But up the front, looks to me like Piesnik mostly has this sorted.
Yeah, well, he's got nearly a second gap now on Gallon, and we know Gallon is a fierce competitor, but right now it seems that nobody has anything to offer for Piesnik's pure pace in that McLaren. And again, Gallon has
Cummings
checked out massively.
Oh, Nick Cummings, he just got into the wall. Now that is very unfortunate. That's going to leave him with quite a bit of damage on that Audi. He's going to have to let so many people by. We've got a CPR kart parts replay on the screen right now. He actually made a mistake earlier on in the lap, went straight on at the first chicane and then just had no front grip, which quickly turned into no rear grip with that wall coming up. So, oh my goodness, only lap 2 and Nick Cummings' race is looking as good as done. He's still out there though.
Yeah, contact with that wall there will definitely do damage to the car, as we've seen before, and I would not be surprised if he's A, down on straight line speed, and also B, has some steering damage from that. Really unfortunate, like you said, lap 2 to make that sort of mistake. That has put him all the way back down in 14th now, minus 11 positions. So if the car is okay, he has definitely got his work cut out for him tonight, as we've still got about 41 and a half minutes left in this race, but he is going to have to be making moves quickly. The guys in this field, they don't give up time, and he gets some massive air off the last curb there as well. He's really pushing that thing.
Yeah, he certainly is. Currently chasing down Dylan Shepherd in his pursuit to try and go further up the field. Shepherd up into 13th position now, so he's gained 2 positions from his starting spot. He's a tenacious racer, is Mr. Shepherd, so Cummings might have a difficult time getting by him. They are starting to get held up at the back of this train, though, which extends a fair way up ahead. Zach Hanlon and Trent Thomas currently at the front of it. Adam Hyland, I noticed on the last lap, was really looking to get past Thomas at the chicane, and I've just noticed that Shepherd had a problem, and Cummings has gone right on by.
Yeah, that was actually where Cummings hit the wall. Shepherd just got wide. It must have been the car got loose under him. He just went out wide, and Cummings went straight on through. So that's that position sorted, I guess, for the time being. But like you said, Shepherd, he's a tenacious racer, and he'll be right back in there. And yeah, this pack up the front here is very, very close. Ross Rizzo is sort of leading it here with Gasul, Warren, and Albert in close proximity. And then you've got Hanlon back here as well. So it's really, really tight up the front here.
Yeah, it certainly is. Shepherd starting to, Bo Albert coming under a bit of pressure up towards the front, almost getting past Dame Warren there at the chicane. But, you know, I think with Cummings losing out on that third position, it's opened the door to the rest of these guys to have a red-hot go at taking a spot on the podium. And already I'm seeing a three-car battle starting to form behind Ross Rizzo, Reese Gasul, Dane Warren, and Bo Albert. 3 German marks represented there. 3 different cars, 3 different driving styles needed to master them. Oh, and Jordan McDonnell is around. Just need to see what went on there, but that's at turn 2. So he's managed to get going again with not much damage done. It actually looks like it was contact with Dan King. So King just going up the inside of him at turn 1, and I don't think he was far enough along. McDonnell felt that the turn was his, and around he went, but looks like he gets away almost unscathed.
Yeah, and just back to this battle with Gasul, Warren, and Albert at the moment. It is heating up right now. Warren looked like he could have been primed for a move there, but he's gotten a bad run out of that hairpin leading onto the back straight here, and now Albert is right up behind him, potentially priming for another move as they come down into the final chicane here. He's right up under that rear wing of Warren's at the moment. Gasul is safe for the time being, but the key to this puzzle is Rizzo there isn't pulling ahead very much, whether that's by choice. Oh, that was close by Warren. He is pushing it into that chicane there and really out wide. He wants that 4th position. He wants to hunt down Rizzo. Rizzo isn't really moving at the moment. It is this 3-car battle.
Oh,
and we've
yes,
got Burke in the fence. Wayne Burke has gone to the fence at the Wall of Champions, and he's around. I'm assuming that he might not be able to keep it going. That is a pretty dinged up Audi there.
Ouch, yeah, definitely. Also noticing Adam Hyland slow on the straight. He actually got a slowdown for cutting that chicane. But how about Wayne Burke? He was doing all right there, but it seems that the track has had other ideas. It's a very brutal one.
Yeah, you can say that again, and I didn't get a chance to have a quick squiz at the replay there, but that can pretty much come from just hitting the curb too hard, and it unsettles the car. We know the Audi.
Oh no, it was contact. Contact with Nick Cummings, actually. Cummings was going for the move, and then over the curb, Cummings just went straight on and into Burke. So that is a real shame. And oh my goodness, more breaking news at the front as well. We've lost Luis Paulo Gallon. Apparently internet issues.
And now this has just become a battle for the podium. Gasul, Warren, Albert are fighting for 3rd place in this race, and Rizzo's just been promoted up into 2nd place. So this is heading up. Actually, speaking of that, we've got Albert side by side with Warren at the moment. Warren's got a little bit of damage on his rear wing as well. They are side by side coming down this back straight. Albert's not got the speed. He's pulled him back behind that BMW. This is giving Gasul space here. Albert's going to have a look down into this final chicane here. They're side by side. No, Albert's pulled back behind. Probably a smart move after and Warren's hit the wall there.
Ouch.
He's just gone too far. That is going to compromise him big time, particularly if he gets damaged. These GT cars are fairly susceptible to it. Albert is going to be right up back behind him here. This is seriously heating up, Reese.
Yeah, it certainly is. And you could see Dane Warren was testing the limits of the brakes of that BMW at the last chicane. That BMW was really good at slowing down compared to the other cars. So Warren thinking that he could push it a bit far, unfortunately just a little too far, and Albert losing out to him in the middle sector here. But when they get to that back straight, I think you'll see Albert creep up on him again. He just needs to make sure that he keeps those lines in order, does Bo.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So Bo's really got to have a strong sort of final middle sector, I should say here, so that when he gets onto that back straight, he can maximize that run.
There we go. Zach Hanlon going by Philip Worley, coming into that particular chicane. It looked like a fairly easy job there for Hanlon. I think Worley saw him coming and was like, you know what, it's too early in the race to be fighting this. I'm just going to let him have it. So that's Zach Hanlon up to 7th place, I believe.
So
Well,
he's making moves. He started 10th place, I think. So he's on his way up the field to join his teammate in Bo Albert. So maybe time to play some rear gunner and really fight through it together as wingmen. We've got, having a look back at Warren here, Albert has really dropped off the back here. So all that pressure is gone. And Warren nearly hits the wall again coming through there. So he is pushing hard, but he is catching this battle of...
Oh, and Albert got a slowdown penalty coming through the chicane. So that's allowed Trent Thomas through.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Albert. He's got good pace, but yeah, tonight the Audis aren't faring too well, are they, Reese?
No, certainly not. But it's more to do with being a little too spirited with the track limits rather than any fault of the car itself. Meanwhile, we look at the pack behind Adam Briggs. This is quite the fight forming. We've got Matt Morris in a Torque Inc. sandwich with Hayden Dolan behind and Mitch McLeod in front, but Adam Briggs coming under quite a bit of pressure here from McLeod. McLeod faster on the last lap, and looking to get in on this as well is Dean O'Brien, who is starting to pressure Dodman.
Yeah, so this is a nice little battle pack forming here. We've seen Briggs is actually a fairly strong driver throughout last season. We really saw that he knew how to drive the car and sort of make a run up the grid. So he's pulled away just a little bit now, but I wonder if that'll stay that way as McLeod's looking pretty hungry here. He's already made up 3 positions and be looking to be on the march. He's taken a slightly different line through there. Up ahead, we've got Nick Cummings has also just gone through as well on Dylan Shepherd. So he's still making his march through the field. Nothing yet from admins on whether he gets a penalty for that contact earlier on in the race, but Shepherd is looking to fight that position back as well, coming into the chicane here. I'm not sure if he'll be able to make it work, and he won't. He's just going to have to slot in behind there.
Robert Cummings.
That was not a good run there. He basically just swallowed the curb up, and now Shepherd's going to have a second go at it and potentially have the inside line as he comes into the next lap here. These guys, Briggs is looking very hungry behind. They've nearly made contact there as well. These guys, they are fighting hard. Cummings nearly off the track, and we've got Briggs right up behind him as well, blocked in the middle of the corner there. This is getting exciting.
Yeah, certainly is. All of these guys starting to get bunched up there, but you can see there's so many turns that flow right into each other here at Montreal, and so you make a mistake in one corner and it starts affecting you for the next half a lap or so. You really need to be wary as Shepherd makes a mistake through that chicane, and that's allowed Cummings to get a better run through, but in completely the wrong place, and he's just had to get off the gas there at the apex. So this battle certainly not over. Adam Hyland, I think, will be enjoying this very much because he doesn't have much pressure from behind. These guys are too busy fighting each other. Oh, there we go. Cummings in the wall once again. All these little taps are just going to just chip away at the car's advantage in a straight line. The Audi being a very downforce-dependent car, and Shepherd a little bit wide in the hairpin, but Cummings unable to make it work up the inside there. Meanwhile, that 5-car train behind them, they're staying in the same order, but the tension is not letting up at all.
No, that's exactly it. They are fighting very, very hard at the moment. Cummings isn't losing a lot of time, but Briggs is definitely catching him with that big Mercedes V8 under the hood and no damage on that car.
Oh, Shepherd's
got to slow down. There you go. So that's made it easy for Cummings coming through there. And I just want to take notice as well, back up to the front here, Dane Warren has actually closed right up on the back of Gasul, and Gasul is quite close to Rizzo, so this is now turning into a fight for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Peacenik is gone, he's in the distance, don't worry about him. He last lap 5.3 seconds ahead of Rizzo, so he's checked out for now, but these guys are fighting hard for the top 3, the 2nd, 3rd and 4th here.
Yeah, they certainly are, and Ross Rizzo is showing once again why he is the reigning champion of the series. Of course, Peacenik may be quicker on outright pace, but one thing that you cannot accuse Ross Rizzo of is being inconsistent. He is just able to get where he needs to be, as I'm noticing Dean O'Brien in the wall right now, and that's really done a number on his rear wing. How did that happen? It looks like it's basically what happened to Cummings, except this time O'Brien hit the inside wall, coming through the right-hand sweeper.
Yeah, he's oh, that was heavy contact as well. That was big there, so I would not be surprised if he has some big damage on that car. And if he's able to continue, I'd be amazed. The straight line speed as well as potentially the steering are going to be absolutely cooked there.
Yeah, certainly. As we go back live, Hayden Dodman still chasing down Matt Morris, who is looking himself to try and move on Mitch McLeod. But under that hard braking for the chicane, you've got to be really careful to hit all your marks just right. We've seen drivers like Dylan Shepherd. Oh, hang on a minute, Martin Silvassi.
Yeah, that car's looked a little bit better. He's gone in there pretty hard, and he's reversing now back over the big curbs. I'll go back and have a look, see what's happened there.
Just looks like he took the curb too hard. He just caught the floor of the car and around he went.
Yeah, yeah, that's his own fault there. Like you said, took a bit too much curb, and it's just sent him into the fence. That's the issue with those big sausage curbs, is not many cars can take them and survive, and the GTs are definitely one that can't take them nicely.
Oh, mistake from McLeod. Oh, that's almost allowing Matt Morris through on the outside, but McLeod still has the inside, and Dodman has the best run out of all of them here. Sorry to interrupt, Brock, but this could be a move for 11th place. McLeod giving Morris just enough room and no more, but Morris still getting the better run out of that chicane. McLeod defending very spiritedly, and it looks like these three guys are all going to go at once into the hairpin. Just enough room being left on the outside once again, and this is bringing Dylan Shepherd into the mix. McLeod holding off from Morris once again, but you can tell the pressure is starting to get to these guys.
Yeah, well, that's it. Morris is right up behind him there, and he's really looking back and forth, trying to find a way through, but McLeod is taking that defensive line. He knows that's the place to be coming down into this chicane. That's a lot of curb by Morris there, but he's going to be right up behind him again. He's really looking. And we've got Warren side by side with Gasol. He's now gone back in behind, but Warren is looking very racy and seems to be being held up by Gasol here. So he's going to have to fall in behind through some of these more flowing parts of the track. There's no overtaking maneuvers.
Oh, here we go. Matt Morris, contact. And there we go. That's going to let Dylan Shepherd through on the grass, or is it? Goodness me, that was a bit intense. And that's going to allow Troy Maguire up through as well. So that is an interesting incident to unpack. Matt Morris was on the outside of Mitch McLeod going into turn one. McLeod managed to get through, defending that position, but as we go to a replay of that, just looks like Morris was a bit caught out by McLeod getting on the brakes, and then Dodman felt that he could go through on the inside, but ended up making contact with Morris, and so that's made Matt really lose out.
And while that's been played out, Mitch McLeod has actually had an off through the second chicane.
Oh, he has.
And he's gone off and cut the corner there.
Oh, there we go. 3 wide through the hairpin. Sorry. Wow, Dylan Shepherd just going through. Almost having a go at it, not quite getting it done. But I think you can tell that Matt Morris is not too happy with the way things have transpired over the last lap.
Oh yeah, he is wanting to get through very quickly. We saw on the last lap he was hungry, and we've actually got McLeod is coming to the lane now, as well as Morris, as well as Shepherd behind him, and we've got Dodman is continuing. So the pit lane is now open for service, and these guys can make it home on fuel.
Yes, indeed. So this is the chance to hit the reset button a bit, so these guys can get their heads screwed back on, see how the rest of their race can go. Bo Albert, who was one of the first to come into the pits, don't know if he'll be able to make it home on that kind of strategy, but he goes through anyway to get back into the top 20.
Yeah, so he'll need to fuel save a little bit. We still do have 26.5 minutes left in this race, so we're not even half distance at the moment. So, excuse me, there are fuel caps on these cars, so they've got to be very careful about when they pit and how much fuel they take on. So we haven't actually seen the leaders come into the pit lane yet. So that sort of tells you about how much fuel they want to have and that they don't want to take any risk. And I'll just point out as well, Dane Warren got a slow down while that action was going on with McLeod, and that has put him about 3 seconds behind Reece Gasol.
Yeah, falling under pressure from Trent Thomas as well. That's one thing that I wanted to point out about just this track in general as I'm seeing Warren go into the pits now. Montreal is a track that really depends on curb usage to get the most out of your lap times around here, but of course iRacing's penalty system often catches out quite a few of these drivers, and rightly so. iRacing's cut tracks through around this track I think are pretty spot on for the amount of curb usage that is allowed in real life, but still, if you're in the driver's seat and you're busy chasing someone down, you can turn in just a little bit too early for that final chicane and get caught out completely. And that completely ruins your run down the start-finish straight.
And we're having a look back behind McLeod now as that battle is continuing on. I think we've got McKnight here has come into this battle, as well as we've still got Morris here. So this is game on as soon as they've all come out of the pits. So this will be very interesting to see. And I think we've got Shepherd at the back of this as well. So these guys are just going to be having a little bit of deja vu from before their pit stop. Shepherd has a quick look down at the turn 1 here, but he'll just keep it there. Morris right up very close to McKnight. They're all being fairly nice here, but now McLeod has got a bit of a gap, and McKnight's coming under pressure from Morris as well as Morris from Shepherd. So this is right back on like we saw, and this will be hurting these guys as well. When you come out of the pits, you really want to be banging out fast laps to try and make sure that you're back on pace. When you do reset, it takes a second. That was very wide for Morris there in the dirt. That was close to being an asset. McKnight's gone wide as well here, and Morris is going to slice up the inside. Shepherd might be able to take advantage of this too. It's all going on.
Yeah, certainly is. McKnight was the first out of this little pack to pit, I believe, so his tyres are a little bit older, a little less fresh. He's quickly coming under pressure from all of these guys. Have a look there, though. Matt Morris just making a tiny little mistake through that chicane. McKnight trying to take advantage, but Dylan Shepherd coming off the best here. He's going to try and go up the inside here, staying as far to the inside as he possibly can. Can Shepherd get the momentum to get by McKnight? No, he can't. See, that's the thing with that hairpin. It widens on the exit. If you can hook up your throttle just right, you can maintain a position on the outside from traction alone. And just behind, I'm noticing Alex John and Dean O'Brien encroached in their own battle here, coming down the back straight. And O'Brien, he's just having a little look up the inside, but no big moves being made, and he's going to have to stay behind John for another corner. And Dylan Shepherd, another slowdown penalty for Shepherd. He's not having good luck with that last chicane today, Rob.
No, I've just seen Morris and McKnight are battling it out. Morris just swept around the outside there and taken that position away from McKnight, so he's up in 17th position now. McKnight is not giving up, while Shepherd is now, he's dropped back into 21st position. From the back of this battle pack. We've got Scott Solowski as well. He's jumped onto the back of this as well with Joshua Skin. So it's all going on. We've got so many great battles throughout the field tonight. I'm loving it.
Yeah, certainly. And I'll tell you one thing, it is much, much cleaner than what we saw at round 1, which is fantastic to see. I mean, we all like a bit of drama when we're watching our online racing, but a little bit too much drama takes away from the fun. Really, we're all here for good, hard, clean racing, and that is what's going on here tonight.
Yeah, exactly. This is what we know from this GT3 Series, Sprint Series Australasia. This is what we know and love, what we've seen in the past seasons, and this level of competition and racing and respect for each other out there is awesome, and it's what I love about it, and that's what's making these battles so good. While there's been contact and that sort of thing, the guys haven't completely punted each other off for the most part, so it's really good to see. And having a look back at these battle packs here, Morris is cleared out from McKnight, so that looks like it's all settled down a bit, but John is still under pressure from O'Brien as they come down into the last chicane here, coming out to the Wall of Champions. They get through there. O'Brien actually got a fairly nice run, so you might be able to see if he can take advantage coming down into the first turn here. He's going to try get right up close to him. Not going to be close enough this lap. Playing it smart as we look back a little bit further here, and Scott Solowski is actually right on the back of Joshua Skin as well. This is for 21st position, so Shepherd is now up in 20th and pushing away here, but Scott Solowski is looking pretty strong and looks like he might be able to take Skin in the next few laps here.
Yeah, he was 2/10 faster than Skin on the last lap, so you can tell Solowski has the pace, but not quite the car to get it done at the moment. He just glanced off the wall out of that chicane, but you can tell he is very hungry for that position. Skin, though, hooking it up under traction once again. out of that chicane. A very enjoyable corner, in my opinion, coming onto that straight. But as O'Brien, we're noticing, trying to go for the move on Alex John, getting a little awkward between these guys. They had to kind of make room for each other there, and Alex John staying in front of Dean O'Brien for now. But you know what? This has brought Shepherd into contention. O'Brien now going for the dive at the hairpin, and he is going to get it done. Shepherd's going to try and get it done as well. Solovsky up the inside of Skin on the exit, not able to get it done. And have a look at John. He's actually got a really good run out of the hairpin on O'Brien. O'Brien's going to go defensive here. You can't go too wide through the chicane, guys. Don't try it.
This isn't looking good. There's still 2x2 into the braking zone here. That's a very smart move by John there. He just relented that position, and now Shepherd's behind him. But that was very good racing by those guys there. Well done. And having a look back here, Scott Solowski, he's still up behind Skin. Just doesn't seem to have the car, like you said earlier, to just make that move work. But Shepherd is right up behind John now. And we're having a look at Reese Gasul as well. He's actually right up behind Rizzo. So Rizzo has lost a little bit of pace, and now they're nearly 8 seconds behind Peacenik. So he's lapping nearly 4 to 5 tenths a lap faster than what Rizzo is at the moment. And Gasul, he's having a little look. He's trying to get under Rizzo's skin here a little bit, make him see him. This is our series champion from last season and the season before that. So he's really looking for the three-peat here, and he knows all about giving it a consistent drive for Gasul. Gasul's looking for that winning feeling.
Yeah, he certainly is. Meanwhile, Dylan Shepherd with a spin, a chicane, and a bit of an update on Altus Esports' Bo Albert. Looks like he's parked it. He just brought it into the pits a lap or so ago and disconnected from the server, so not a good night for Altus Esports once again. They've still got a car in the top 10 in the form of Zach Hanlon. We'll see what they can do, but I think One Performance Racing is the team that's really struggled the most when you see how much potential they've had. Dylan Shepherd continuing to fall afoul of the track limits, and Jordan McDonnell retiring from the race. So it's a real shame for those guys.
Yeah, well, those guys had some good pace. McDonald started 13th and Shepherd 15th, but they both showed some pretty good race pace. So it's a shame to see that that they've had their troubles, and it was the same in the Porsche race last week. Unfortunately, they just couldn't quite get it hooked up. So maybe next week they can come back in the Porsches here and really show us what they've got.
Yeah, certainly. We know that the One Performance guys definitely have the pace to be a contending team, as John Peacenik jumps into the pits.
So there you go. That just shows now's the time with about 18 minutes left to go. Fuel's probably running a bit low. Rizzo and Gasul are going to keep going for the time being, but Peacenik has nothing to worry about at the moment.
No, certainly not. But I'll tell you what, one person that does have one big thing to worry about is Ross Rizzo. He has an object that starts with Reese and ends with Gasul in his rear view mirrors, and these guys are still embroiled in a very difficult battle around this circuit.
Yeah, it's great to see though. Rizzo he's had good speed, but Gasul, I feel like he has something to prove after last season not quite being the season he probably hoped for. Right now, battling with the series champion is big for him, and will also mean a lot if he can get past him. And it's all about finding the right spots here at Montreal, because unfortunately, because of the flowing nature of the track, sometimes you just got to follow the guy in front. It's not like every corner is a good opportunity, and you've really got to be close. For example, here, coming into the hairpin, great opportunity. Turn 1 and 2, great opportunities. But then a lot of the middle of the track is very flowing. As Gasul runs a bit wide there, probably didn't help his run either. I think the pit stops will be critical depending on how much fuel these guys put in and how quickly they get in and out. That'll be critical to how they come out and how close they are when they do come out.
Yeah, certainly. And, the first person to blink here will definitely be the one to take advantage. I think, though, from Gasul's position, you want to be careful about how you go about it. But his best option would be to follow Rizzo into the pits, because that pit entry at Montreal actually requires you to overshoot the brake chicane. If Gasul wants to try and undercut Rizzo, it'd be very difficult, because he would stand going right into the back of the Trick Sim Sports driver going into the pits.
Exactly. And we're having a look back at Briggs and Maguire here. That is a very good point you made there, Reese. But they're embroiled in a very large battle on the back straight here, as they've also got Highland up ahead of them, who's just a little bit clear here. But Briggs has seemed to be fighting it out. And Peacenik has gone back into the pits as well, we've just heard. As, that was nearly contact there between Briggs and Maguire. That was so close into that last chicane.
Oh, very, very close. Now, what has happened to John Peacenik? Either he has short-filled or got a penalty for speeding in the pits.
He's revving the engine there, so that was a penalty. That was an 18-second stop, so that was probably a 15-second stop and go. So that has dropped him to 16th position from first. So now, depending on Dane Warren's pace and where he is in the race, that will put Ross Rizzo and Reece Gasoul in a battle for the lead right now. This has just gotten big. They're both in the pit lane now. They're taking their pit stops. We have 15 minutes to go here, folks. The leader and Gasoul in second are in the pits to fill up with fuel to the end. Our leader, Peacenik, has now gone back into 16th spot after the promising pace he showed. Trent Thomas in as well. Watch Dane Warren. He's in 4th position at the moment. He has already pitted. I'm interested to see where he comes out compared to these guys.
Yes, indeed. This could be a masterclass here from Dane Warren as he makes his way towards the braking zone. For Kane, Rizzo and Gasoul are still stationary. Trent Thomas in the pits as well. Gasoul actually got at a stop there than Rizzo, but remains behind. Dane Warren, meanwhile, just making his way into turn 2.
Oh, that's going to be very close between him and Thomas. Warren might just grab it there on slightly warmer tyres after not being still for so long. They're side by side here at the moment. Warren's got a few internet issues there, and that's very close there, and Warren's going to take that for now, but Thomas is looking racy. This is for the podium here, ladies and gentlemen, and we've got Rizzo and Gasoul up the road. Rizzo's got a bit of a gap on Gasoul now, but this is still very, very hot battling here with 13 and a half minutes to go for the lead. And we've got Warren's cleared out just a bit on Thomas, but I reckon we're going to have a great battle here for 3rd place.
Yes, certainly. And I'll tell you what, Trent Thomas, just coming out of the pits, he left Warren the requisite amount of room, which was good to see, but that could have turned out a lot worse than it did for Warren. This is a very bad time for him to start having these issues.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And unfortunately, Dane, his internet isn't the best, so he does have those flashing moments occasionally. Hopefully it sticks in there and the internet stays in, because I'd really love to see a great battle between him and Thomas unfold for 3rd place in this race. So they both show good pace. Thomas we haven't talked about him much in this race because he's just stuck through it. He hasn't done anything crazy or anything, and now he's up in 4th place. He's actually made up 5 positions on his starting position, so that's a great effort. And to top it all off, if he could grab a podium, that would make his night, I reckon.
Yeah, it certainly would. He didn't have the best round at Interlagos. Ended up getting a penalty for an incident with Forzan El Nabi, and I can't remember the other driver involved. I'm so sorry, but yeah, Trent wasn't exactly happy with that penalty. He believed he wasn't at fault for that, but he took it on the chin and has kept racing, and it looks like tonight is definitely going to pay off for him.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it, and he's dropped off a little bit from Warren. So Warren seems to have some good pace in that BMW at the moment. Thomas is in the Mercedes, but it looks like neither of them are going to have much to offer the likes of Rizzo and Gasoul up the front here. Gasoul is currently about 9/10 behind Rizzo, so Rizzo's got a bit more pace than what he was showing in that last stint before the fuel stops. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. Going back through the field a bit here, Maguire and Burke are actually embroiled in a good battle here, as Maguire's actually just spun and he's not tapped the wall, so he's just kept it out of there. That was very, very close. Burke did a good job to avoid him there, but unfortunately what was looking like a good battle has ended up in a spin there. Easy mistake to make there, just overshooting it a little bit and spinning it around. So Peacenik has made his way back up to 14th now and is trying to make his way through the field, but his night's just come unravelled. And behind him, we've got Briggs and O'Brien fairly close. We've seen O'Brien isn't afraid to sort of stick it in there and go, I'm here, what are you going to do about it? I'm interested to see how much further he can get up the grid. He's made a couple of spots up as well, so a good race so far.
Yeah, certainly. Doing a very good job there, is that driver. And, I, I honestly don't know at this point what John Peasnick can do, because that's an awful lot of time to lose in terms of taking that pit stop. And I guess it just goes to show one penalty can really make the difference, even in a race that is longer for this series, like 45 minutes.
Oh, well, that's exactly it. And the thing that strikes me as interesting is that whatever he got the penalty for, if it was speeding in pit lane, he had such a big gap that he didn't need to worry too much about speeding. If he lost a couple of tenths on entry or exit, that's fine. He had 9 seconds up his sleeves. So I guess it's just maybe the McLaren's braking wasn't working quite well for him, but it's resulted in what could have been a double win for him. The win in the last round and the win this round has gone out the window, and it's really bringing the likes of Rizzo and Gasol and Warren, who are in that top 5, top 10 of the championship, right back into it. Even though we're only in round 2, every point matters.
Yes, indeed. It's a series that doesn't go on for particularly long. It's 20, which, in sim racing terms is a long-ish championship. But as you said, every single point is worth the world to these drivers, and it can make all the difference come the later part of the season. That battle up the front is still not letting up. Reece Gasol in very hot pursuit of looking very calm in that lead moment.
Yeah, exactly. Rizzo, we like I said earlier, we've seen him drive consistently, and we know he has what it takes to be a champion. But the question is, does Gasol have what it takes to bring it to Rizzo here and try and snatch this win out of his hands with about 6.5 laps to go here and 9 minutes left on the clock? So he's catching him up a little bit here. I said earlier that he was about 9 tenths behind. He's brought that down to what's going to be around 4.5 tenths into this next chicane here. So he's reeling him in, and he can smell the victory. He can smell that champagne that he wants to spray. He's just got to make it work, and that is arguably the most difficult part of being a driver, is being able to put that pass down and make it work.
Yeah, well, it's all about patience, isn't it? He's rapidly running out of time, though. They've only got about 7 or 8 minutes left in this event, so 6 laps. So Gasol, he can play the patient game as much as he likes, but if he wants to get this victory, he is going to have to start making some very assertive, should I say, assertive moves coming up to the very end of this event. And look at the back for third and fourth. It looks to me like Dane sorted there in third place relative to Trent Thomas. Thomas is, I think, happy just doing his own thing there in fourth place. And Dane Warren is currently in between Thomas and Gasol in terms of pace. So, oh no! John Peasnick and Matt Morris have come together, and Peasnick is around
close
at the last chicane. He's just kept going. Oh my God, that is such a shame. Peasnick's night going from bad to worse.
A case of what could have been. We know Peasnick is such a good driver, and that just, that's pretty much just adding insult to injury there. Unfortunately, it was contact actually on the way in. Peasnick moved over a bit, and I think Morris moved over a bit. They just made contact there, and then Peasnick's nearly had contact with a couple of other cars going too wide through the chicane. Oh, that could have been disastrous there for some other drivers, and he was up to 12th as well, so he was making his way back through. I guess he's just going to have to write this one off and come back next time and see what that McLaren can do.
Yeah, well, I feel for him, qualifying on pole by 3/10 and having the race that he's had. That's just it doesn't exactly do wonders for your morale. So Peasnick, we know he is. So hopefully for him, he'll be able to bounce back from this. But definitely, this is looking like a round to ride off for him.
Yeah, I'd say so. But going back to the front here with Reece Gasol, his teammate in that Element Mercedes, he is still right on the back of Ross Rizzo here. It's down to 5/10 on the last lap. Gasol is close, but he just can't seem to get close enough. And with only roughly 5 laps left to go in this race, like you were saying before, Reese, is there the time? He just can't seem to get close enough where it matters to make that move stick. He's close through some of the tighter corners and through some of the flowing parts, but you can't make a move there without crashing. So what's he going to do? I mean, second place would still be awesome for him. He's up 4 positions and great for his confidence, but if I was in Reece Gasol's helmet right now, I'd be pushing as hard as I can for that win, and you can see he's getting a bit of a slide on. He's really wrestling that Mercedes, and the fact that Rizzo's in a Mercedes as well makes it harder for him, because any of the differences between the cars are negated because they're both the same car and probably running similar wing settings and all those other fancy setup options. So it's man versus man in this scenario.
Gasol needs to focus on his corner exits. That is the big differentiator here, I think. Because with Montreal, yes, the corners flow into each other quite a bit, but you've also got those long acceleration zones that those corners lead into. So here at the final chicane, for example, you get that right, and you carry that momentum all the way down the start-finish straight towards this first couple of turns complex. And then the next thing that you can focus on is the little back stretch coming up towards the third chicane, or fourth chicane, sorry, and the hairpin. But you know, it's difficult to get that sort of thing right, because it all depends on the way you use the curbs as well. Gasol, you can see, he is struggling a little bit to maintain that gap to Ross Rizzo. He's a little bit more confident over the curbs that time round, but Rizzo just seems to have the rear end of that car worked out, and his acceleration is proving to be, if not matching Gasol's, better. Oh,
yeah,
Gasol, I mean, really pushing it into that chicane that time.
Yeah, you can say that again. He's just it may be a case of overdriving as well. Maybe earlier in the race he had those big battles going on, and he's used up the tyres just a bit more than Rizzo. We saw Rizzo was always in the background of the shot, but never engaged in a big battle. So he's sort of been out there, probably just protecting his tyres a little bit, minding his fuel, whereas Gasol has been in battle behind hot cars and everything, and that's probably eaten away a little bit more. So that advantage that he might have had is gone, and now, like you said, getting that acceleration out of the corners is particularly hard for him, especially when you consider you've probably got to be within a tenth, maybe 2 of your bold to actually make a move, and he's only 4 tenths behind at the moment with 3 laps to go as they cross the line this time around.
Yes, indeed. Well, that battle looks to be at somewhat of a stalemate at the moment. Oh, hold on. They are a little bit closer this time around. We'll see how they go through the chicane. Rizzo actually made a mistake in the first few corners of that lap, so Gasol, he's getting a little bit of a sniff of victory here, but once again, it seems Rizzo has it sorted out in that acceleration zone. Gasol really pushing it. That's the kind of line that you need to take through that certain corner, and Gasol, you can see, is actually creeping up a little bit on Rizzo now. He's making himself definitely known, and he's actually looking to the inside a little bit through that run. Just saying to Rizzo, hey, look, I'm here. I want to make this move. Now he's right on the back of him coming into these last few laps.
He's going for the move down here into the chicane. He's alongside Rizzo. This is for the race lead. That was nearly contact there between Rizzo and Gasol. He's going to keep it going there. Unfortunately, lost most of that gap, but there is still 2 laps to go here next time round. It is on for young and old. This is the series champion versus one of the guys we saw the most potential in last season. Gasol, like you said earlier, he's got that sniff of victory, and then he nearly made it work. Now he's just got to set it up again, be methodical, take these corners, get the most speed out of them. That was a pretty good run. He got a little wide there on the exit, and the car kicked out behind him a bit. That gap is back out to 5 tenths, but we saw all it takes is a little mistake from Rizzo, and Gasol is right on him, and that's what he's got to be waiting for. He's pressuring Rizzo at the moment, and he's back within about 4.5 tenths now, so it is so close here.
Yeah, it certainly is. And at that hairpin, you saw the classic defense around the hairpin at Montreal. Rizzo did that exactly as you needed to, as Gasol falls behind a little bit again. But you can see that Rizzo stayed a little bit wide and was able to hook up the traction. Oh, Rizzo making a tiny little mistake through the chicane now. Gasol not able to take advantage, though.
No, Gasol, that gap's actually blown out a little bit. He's catching him back up now, but he's a couple of tenths off where he was last lap. And like I said, you really need to be within around 2 tenths to make that move work. And he's about about 5 tenths off at the moment, so not really quite close enough unless he really throws it down the inside, but that'd be a bit silly at this point in the race. So they're coming up to the hairpin now, and Gasol's just got to focus on his exits, like you were saying earlier, Reese, and really make the most of the long straights in that draft to pull him back in a bit. He's 4.5 tenths behind Rizzo now, which is a little bit of improvement, and that draft is only pulling him closer. So we could well see a last lap move for the race win here. As 30 seconds left on the clock, this next lap will be our last lap of the race tonight.
All right, so the white flag is going to fly this time around, and we have a proper battle here for the race lead. Once again, this is round 2 of the Geodesic Racing Sprint Series Australasia. You are watching the iRacing Esports Network, and this is what we're here for, certainly. 2 fantastic drivers in their element, fighting it out for the lead on the last lap around a fantastic circuit. Rizzo just takes a little bit more curb there. And it just looks like that part of the circuit is one of Gasol's weak points, but he manages to just slowly grab it back here. He's just got that braking hooked up through the chicane, while Rizzo just doesn't seem to be able to get it done as nicely under brakes. I tell you what, unless something drastic happens at the hairpin, Rizzo, I think, will almost have this, but Gasol, oh, there we go. Just a little bit too much momentum lost, so there's going to be no chance for him at the hairpin. There is still one more straight to go. The straight leading up to the final chicane here at Montreal. Gasol going majorly deep into the hairpin, late apexing it, trying to get on the throttle as early as he possibly can. So now they're out onto the back straight. But I think Gasol is just a little too far back for a move. We'll see what happens. They've got 2 more corners to go, 2 more opportunities to mess up, 2 big curbs that can catch you out. Gasol gets very close, but Rizzo is going to manage to hold him off to take the win here. A fantastic both of those drivers.
Yeah, what a race that they've given us. These 2 guys have been battling the whole time, and now they've come to the end of the race here. Rizzo's managed to take the win, but only by 4 tenths of a second. And we'll go back and have a look at McKnight, Morris, and Briggs at the moment, who are battling it out on the last lap here. We've got McKnight and Briggs side by side.
Sorry. Oh, I just saw an incident. Sorry. Mitch McLeod and Adam Hyland made contact at the last chicane. Oh, sorry, that was Hayden Dodman. But wow, just coming up on that between Morris, McKnight, Briggs, and O'Brien. It looks like O'Brien is not going to get it done. My apologies for interrupting there, Brock, but that was quite dramatic.
No, that's all right. We want to get the best action here for the viewers, so no stress at all. But looked like we had might have been one of the talking cars running out of fuel as they crossed the line there. So it's all going on this last lap, I reckon.
Goodness me. Well, all came to an end there very badly for Hayden Dodman. So we're just getting a CPR kart parts replay of that incident. Just looks to me like Hyland was definitely hungry. He wanted to try and get by Dodman, but Dodman just did not have the straight line speed, and it looked like some very spirited defending from both of those drivers. Dodman just continuing to move over in the braking zone where Hyland was on, I think, a pretty straight trajectory. I think just a very unfortunate coming together.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and we've got the results up on screen now. So our race winner tonight, partially thanks to John Peasnick's unfortunate race tonight, is Ross Rizzo, the #1 car. Reese Gasol close behind in 2nd place after that great battle. Dane Warren from All Star Motorsports in 3rd. Trent Thomas up 5 positions from FSR in 4th. Nick Cummings in 5th. Zach Hanlon in that Alt C Sportsmobile in 6th. Adam Hyland 7th. Mitchell McLeod in 8th, and Matt Morris rounds in 9th. And then we've got Jamie McKnight rounds out the top 10, 9 positions up on where he started.
Hayden Dodman is going to have to settle for 11th after that incident with Adam Highland. Could have been a top 10 for him, but it all went wrong at the last couple of corners. Adam Briggs finishing where he started after a very eventful race in 12th position. Dean O'Brien making his way up to 13th. Alex John 14th. Joshua Skin in 15th. John Peasnick, the big loser of this race. What an unfortunate turn of events for him. First, a pit stop penalty, and then an on-track incident, unfortunately taking him out of contention. He has to settle for 16th. Wayne Burke, 17th. Dylan Shepard ends up in 18th place. Reese Keane finishing in 19th, and rounding out the top 20 is Trick Sim Sports' Martin Silvassi.
And we've got Gene Fiddies in 21st, Dan King 22nd, David Jellings 23rd, Troy Maguire 24th, and a lap down, Scott Solosky in 25th. And then our DNFs for the night are Bo Albert, Philip Worley, Jordan McDonnell, and Louise Paolo Gallon.
And that was some great potential there, I think, for Gallon, but unfortunately, his connection had other ideas, which is a real shame for him. But there we go. That is your grid for what I think is a much improved round 2 of the GT Leagues Australia Geodesic Racing Sprint Series Australasia. An absolutely brilliant event that brought up some fantastic incidents and exciting drama to talk about without too many casualties this time around. Before we go to our interviews, just want to point out that positions 1 to 10 in this race were all from different teams. How about that stat? That's absolutely brilliant to see. It really shows the competitiveness of this series.
Yeah, that's awesome to see. And as well as having a few different marks in that top 10 as well. I think we had Audi, Mercedes, and BMW in the top 10. So that's really awesome to see. And yeah, 10 people from different teams all battling it out like that and being very respectful of each other as well. That's really awesome to see. So I think that's good signs of what's to come for this series. And while we had a rocky start last week, this is showing everyone out there, this is what Sprint Series Australasia really is all about. And the rest of the season is going to be like this, I reckon.
Yeah, certainly. Well, we're going to quickly go to driver interviews now, and bringing into the commentary box now, we have our race winner, Ross Rizzo from Trick Sim Sports. Ross, welcome to the commentary box. That was certainly an unexpected victory from our side. What about from yours?
A decent race car, but not a race-winning car. That John and Louis had the race-winning cars today, but whatever befell them was just it's brutal, isn't it? Genuinely feel sorry for those guys, but yeah, stoked to be in a position where I could capitalize in it, and you know what, it was great to battle with someone like Reese. So very good sportsman.
Yeah, an excellent battle for sure that we saw on track there. Well, currently, you are outside the top 10 in the championship still after your round at Interlagos certainly did not go your way or the way of Trick Sim Sports in general. But does this? I'm sure this puts up the morale in the team for the next few rounds of the season.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we love pleasant surprises like this. It was a shame that Anthony and Forzan couldn't join us tonight, because I'm sure they would have been probably better than I would have been tonight. But yeah, we'll take whatever small victories we can get and move on with some momentum in the season.
Yes, indeed. Well, Ross, just before we let you go, is there anyone that you would like to thank?
So Trick Sim Sports, Trick Fabrications, HRS Simulations, and HPP Simulations, and of course the guys at GT Leagues Australia and Geodesic Racing for putting on the series, and Simon for pushing through, getting it all organised, and of course you guys at V8's Online for the fantastic broadcasts.
Thank you very much, Ross. We will talk to you at the next round of the championship.
All right, thanks very much.
That was Ross Rizzo from Trick Sim Sports. Your race winner. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem we have Reese Gasul. So we're going to bring in our third place finisher, Dane Warren, in the BMW. Dane, welcome to the commentary box. And that was certainly a crazy race from multiple angles, but you managed to get a podium out of it.
Yeah, definitely wasn't expecting it after qualifying a bit down and hitting many walls, so I'm quite happy with the third.
Well, Dane, after Interlagos, that was a round that a lot of teams came away from feeling very disappointed. But are things looking up in the All-Star camp for the rest of this championship after this result?
Yeah, I do hope so. Obviously, the racing was a lot cleaner this round. And yeah, I'm very happy with the BMW so far, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, actually, your car choice, it seems the BMW is not the most popular car out there, but what are, just go quickly into the reasons why you chose the BMW, because, there's a wide variety of car selection in GT3 racing here on iRacing.
Yeah, I can't really answer it. I just always liked the BMW. It looks nice. Our livery looks very good on it, so just sort of, why not?
Certainly. Well, next round of the championship is at Watkins Glen Classic Boot. So that's a track that's all about straight line speed. And the BMW, with recent balance of performance updates, is a little better on straight line speed. But I guess you will have to be working hard for that. So your thoughts going forward?
Watkins Glen, it doesn't sound like a great time, but, we'll give it everything we got, see what we can come away with.
All right. Well, before we let you go, Dane Warren, who gets it done for you?
Yeah, just a quick thanks to the sponsors, Rat Corp, Cash Centric, and Sim Racing Collectibles.
Brilliant stuff. We will talk to you after the next round of Watkins Glen, Dane, hopefully.
Yeah, nice. Well, yeah, we'll see how we go.
We certainly will. Well, Brock, that brings to an end our coverage of this race. Certainly one to remember, especially after the first round. I think this was a major improvement.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I really enjoyed that race. And this is, like I said earlier, this is what we've grown to know and love from Sprint Series Australasia, and what we've come to expect as well, I believe anyway, out of the racing standards from these guys. And the battle between Gasol and Rizzo towards the end there, the respect between those guys when making those moves was great, as well as throughout the pack when we saw the likes of McKnight, Shepherd, Briggs, Morris, all those guys battling. It really shows that the guys, they come out and race in this league because they want to be here, and they show it on the track by being respectful of each other and really going out there and having a good time. I think it's awesome for the series, and it's really great for our viewers out there to see as well.
Yeah, certainly is. And hopefully on your end out there, the viewers, you enjoyed this as well. The fun doesn't stop here, though, on V8's Online. Our next broadcast over on our channel will be on Friday, the Australian Online Supercar Championship, Imola 650. Big endurance race around the Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari. So head over to our channel, V8's Online, this Friday to get that one done. Monday, we've got the iRacing official V8 Supercar Series at the same track at Imola. And then next week, next Wednesday, you can catch us here again on the iRacing Esports Network for the V8's Online Porsche Super Cup Australasia, which is going to be at Montreal as well. And the next Sunday, we got the Oceanic Endurance Championship. So a packed schedule for us. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, V8's Online. Follow us on Twitter, also V8's Online. And our website is v8sonline.com. Thanks very much for joining me, Brock. This was a very enjoyable night.
No worries. Good to be here. And I'm looking forward to the Porsches next week. I think the GT's put on a great show here in Canada. So bring it on.
Yes, indeed. Also, a big thanks to Jay Kennedy and Scott Fountain, our broadcast directors, for bringing all of this action to you. Well, that brings to an end tonight's proceedings here on the iRacing Esports Network. We have been V8's Online, and this has been the GT Leagues Australia Geodesic Racing Sprint Series Australasia. Your round winner, Ross Rizzo. We'll catch you next time. Have a good one.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers. A big there we go! They touch!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Frankie! Down to the inside of Hoosie's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd.